What's up, y'all? It's your boy Skywalker the Jedi here, tapping in with y'all as promised. Um, about to talk about the Batman today. Um, I saw the Batman Friday night. Saw it in theaters. As you guys know, I was not gonna pay for this movie, but someone that I know pretty much demanded that I go with him. So you know, WB still ain't got none of my money. But I want to talk about this movie because ever since this movie's been released, there's been a lot of back and forth about how people feel about it, and people that have liked the film have been pretty much attacking people that have had criticisms of it. This is by no stretch of the imagination been all of the people that have liked the Batman doing this, but it has been a great deal of them. you know. And I just want to get into it. First, I want to start off with my positives. What I thought about the movie. First things first, I think that the score was probably the best thing about this movie. The music was incredible. Michael Giacchino really did his thing. It was really superb. Um, Sound design was great. I also think that a lot of the performances were fantastic as well. I felt like Jeffrey Wright was awesome. I feel like Zoe Kravitz was great. Um, Colin Farrell was pretty good. Once he got able to stretch his wings a little bit. No pun intended. But you know, there were some performances that I weren't so high on. But I really loved those performances. I thought the aesthetic of Gotham City was pretty cool. I mean, Gotham really seemed like a old kind of rundown place, with all like this old Gothic kind of architecture. Yeah, I felt like that was pretty cool. What else? I feel like the introduction of Batman and the Riddler was fantastic. I felt like they really nailed that. The first few minutes of this movie is pretty amazing. Um, and let's see, what else? What else? What else? For the most part, that's all that I thought that was really good to great about the movie. Right, everything else I was kind of meh or kind of whatever about it. I would say that for one, um, Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne not behaving any differently than he did in his Batman costume was pretty problematic for me. I mean, he was not changing his facial expressions whatsoever. He was still, gritting and gnashing his teeth. Um, when he's in his Bruce Wayne suit, they're supposed to be 2 years in, and we're already supposed to be past stuff like this, but you know, it was still happening, right? So, I felt like the relationship between Bruce and Alfred was terrible. Um, Even though I liked Andy Serkis's performance, I felt like he was really underutilized you know slash wasted um, in this movie. I really didn't like their dynamic. Matt Reeves has a lot of Easter eggs in this movie that kind of alludes to other things in the world, right? But it's almost too on the nose in my opinion, and a lot of it just kind of makes you wonder. Like, he's supposed to be doing three movies. Like, how many of these things are actually going to be um, you know, like fruitful. And there are certain things that you know are like really brought up, but not really delved into, and just kind of shoved to the side, right? Like the whole Martha Wayne killing her parents and having to go to Arkham thing. That just kind of came and went, where that should have been a pump the brakes type of situation. And then it's like, like, what are we doing? Are we gonna be setting up the court of owls? Like, you know, why are you introducing Joker in this manner? The Joker introduction was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I hated it, and what I could see of his face, I thought it looked stupid. I'm really not, you know, sold on a lot of these things. I thought that during the second half to the end of the movie, Paul Dano's character lost a lot of steam for me. I feel like his introduction was fantastic, and then everything kind of after that, it just kept going downhill for me. Um, there were a lot of things, man. Like there were a lot of things. Robert Pattinson. Let's talk about him and his Batman. I get that this is a detective movie and everything like that, right? But I also feel like he was nowhere near the world's greatest detective. Like there was simple shit that he couldn't figure out. Like, and also when the whole rat with wings little riddle comes up and he doesn't immediately think of a bat, I thought that was a little fake. Like everybody knows what they call a rat with wings, and he just can't seem to figure this thing out, right? Even that little scene with him and Gordon and Penguin, right? He's like, like, dude, are you sure? Right? Oh man, this movie just, I mean, there was a lot of things that didn't work for me, right? I feel like a lot of the um kind of mythic element was taken out of the Batman, right? Just probably by sheer proxy of the amount of times that you see him walking throughout this movie. I've never seen a Batman movie where he's walked as much as he has in this movie, right? He's walking through doors, he's using doors. Mm, You know, I mean, Batman should just be in the shadows lurking and should just be popping up. I don't think he really pops up on anybody in this movie, and if he did, it was probably very, very forgettable. Um, I felt like the scene where he punched Gordon and had to run from the police was pretty silly. Um, the wingsuit part didn't really. I mean, there was just a lot that didn't work for me. I've seen a lot of people ranting and raving about this Batmobile chase. I thought it was okay. I thought the way that they revealed the Batman outside of him walking up to the car. So you got Batman walking again, right? But outside of him walking up to the car, I felt like the way that they introduced it, where you could hear it, for so long, um, before you could see it, right? And then you see the grill start lighting up, right? I felt like that was really, really cool. I felt like the car chase was nowhere near the level of my top car chases ever, right? Which, it didn't even match the Batmobile chase in BVS to me, right? Yeah, there was just a lot of things about this movie that just, I don't know. Catwoman's white privilege line totally took me out of the movie. Um, I felt like this movie is the word that I kept coming back to was indulgent, right? Because I feel like a lot of this movie could have been cut out by Matt Reeves, but he was just over indulging himself in a lot of these shots and cinematography, you know, and just a lot of Batman looking around, right? You know, Batman's kind of a creep, right? Like he's sitting there watching like Selena Kyle change clothes in her room with contact lenses that's really recording everything. I mean, I feel like this movie should have been about 2 hours and 20 minutes, maybe. Maybe maybe 2:30. Um, but yeah, definitely could have been shorter. Overall, I'm just not giving him a pass for this movie in terms of Matt Reeves because a lot of these decisions, um, I think, were kind of falls at his feet, right? And maybe this is just a generational thing. It might be that as well, right? But I really don't feel like the whole angsty Batman scene worked. I mean, I don't think that the thing worked at all for me when Alfred almost died, for Bruce. Then Bruce at the hospital. First thing he says with when Alfred wakes up is some stupid shit, and I'm just like, yo. I'm like, yo, this is not, bruh. This is not, the whole "you're not my father" thing. Like, it was just angsty, and I'm just not really with that. You know, I feel like Robert Pattinson being one note and the same character as Bruce actually helped make the movie feel longer than it actually was. Like I would kept checking my watch and like yo, what's going on? The third act really drags. It drags, and this is a dark movie. Like there were several points where I couldn't tell what was going on. Right? There was and there was even a couple parts where some of the set design and the architecture shots were a little bit confusing because even in certain scenes, like I was confused as to whether they were at Wayne Enterprises or Wayne Manor, and it was just I don't know. There were some choices made here that I really didn't agree with, and I feel like it kind of helped create this situation where the movie just kind of felt bloated and over indulgent, right? And everybody's saying about how happy that they are for the sequel or how excited they are for the sequel, but I'm not going to give him a pass. You have to create a great foundation for me, and I feel like this foundation is a bit lacking. And once again, this is all Matt Reeves' fault. I mean, his production team and the producers have come out and were saying, "Hey, we're gonna beat The Dark Knight and we're gonna out Nolan." So I came into this movie with sky high expectations, and I just feel like they were not met at all. Outside of the score and a couple things like Jeffrey Wright's character, but we already knew that. Like I have never questioned the ability of the cast. I felt like that was one of the main um, selling points for this film was the cast of amazing actors that they filled it out with, and I just feel like a couple of the creative decisions didn't land too well, and it really just took away from my experience. So, um, that's all that I'm gonna get into for right now. Um, you know, if there's anything else that I can think of, I'm sure I'll bring it up later. But that's all that I can think of now off the top of my head. But hey, you guys, let me know if I'm tripping. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But I hope each and every one of you guys liked or loved this movie. You guys are free to feel however you feel, but don't tell me how I feel is wrong. So I'm gonna get at y'all next time. It's your boy Skywalker the Jedi. Get up with y'all later. Peace.